Welcome to Inside the Play, the show where we take you behind the scenes of some of PUBG's best teams, where we learn how they're able to work their magic in the server. All right, Hwinn, welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
Good.
Good. So, before this point, you guys came off of ESL Masters 2, and by Soniqs standards, it wasn't exactly the best tournament for you. Going into the PCS5 group stage, what sort of, strategy did you have internally as far as getting yourselves back on track to perform at that Soniqs peak level that we've all come to expect?
We just know, PCS is our playground. We've won the last 3, so, ESL was just a small road bump, and it wasn't that important in the bigger scheme of things, so I'm glad we turned things around for group so far.
So the game that the two of us are going to be breaking down today is round 9 of Groups A versus C. This is the second to last game, and at this point, you already had 6 wins, essentially keeping yourselves at the top of the leaderboard. Is there any particular change of approach towards the end of this event?
Not really. I think at the end of the day, we're just playing to get better, and this is the best practice we can get real games, which we can't get in scrims. So I think our mentality was, why not win another 2?
Well, it seems to have worked out well, but yeah, let's just get straight into it. Already off the bat, it's a pretty standard plane path, nothing too unusual about this one.
We're really used to these zones, and because of plane path, we knew that the northwest was going to be the clearest side of the circle, but we also knew there was a realistic chance it could come back south. We've won games from our current position at that flat top, so we decided to play for circle 2. We actually wanted to split across the bridge where Cap just went, but we saw a vehicle there and we kind of assumed it might be taken instead of scouting it, and the next thing we know, it was taken. So it just shows you that we could have been in Cap's position had we scouted a little better, and they end up being in the best position late game. So
with this next circle shift, you guys are very, very quickly on the move again.
On this pop, we were pretty convinced it was going north, and I said we're going to send it. We knew that Cap wouldn't leave their spot, so going across Cube Bridge makes the most sense. Cube Bridge ended up leaving, and Shrimzy thought about stopping at Cube, but I said, hey, we're going to keep going. The northwest is clear. Let's get a game-winning position, not an edge position. So we end up sending it all the way to, we call this hill Spine. Veritas could have beat us to this position, but they decided to play into North George, which was really good for us. From here, we kind of just set up camp. The northwest was particularly clear on C1 and C2 because of plane path and because of drop spots. We knew that if it shifts northwest, like max, it'd be one team, which it was. It was Veritas, the only team up there. So that was what made our decision to keep sending it that way. I think if the plane path had been different, if people had dropped other spots, maybe we would have settled with a different position.
How much value is Hwinnm getting from this compound, because it is on the low side of the hill over here? Is this mostly just to watch your back?
Once we're on this hill, it's basically we want to have an anchor on our side or our back just so we have some sort of a clear side. So mine being there just prevents a team from stabilizing there as 4. If they're in the field driving, he shoots his gun, they don't go. Or if they do crash him, we're just going to counter crash and kill him. So mine being there is really important.
And Eternity rolling up at the bottom here, is this a big concern for y'all?
Yeah, Eternity rolled up there, but I was pretty realistic with things. I knew that we couldn't gatekeep where Eternity is on the south side and shoot away teams and gatekeep the north side edge. So it's just pick one or the other at that point. And I said, hey, we're all going to play to clear the north. That's going to be the goal most of this game.
And also, that's you getting knocked.
Nah, that didn't happen.
Nah, it didn't happen.
I might have got knocked. The game plan doesn't change much here. We know that Eternity is 2 to 3 players. We knew they had lost 1, I think. Basically, just wait till blue gets to the edge. We knew what was 4 in the flat top, and they were still barely in. And we didn't see any other threats north, but we knew there was a high potential of like a team from the east wrapping into us, or even from the west for that matter. So just play as late as possible, and yeah, try to keep edge control. Next circle is water shift, so we know that we're going to be in on the next circle on our hill, even by a small margin, but it'll be enough ground for us. So once we knew S1 sent it past us, we were pretty sure our north was clear, and that's when I flexed out southwest with Hwinnm to keep tabs on North George, and that's when I ended up knocking one of Veritas. I think they were thinking about sweeping us, because that is their best play eventually, but me knocking one and he ends up getting flushed to E United, pretty much deterred them from pushing us the rest of the game. And this whole time while we're focusing Veritas, we still have Tig and Shrimzy pressuring What on the flat top. So we're focusing two things at once.
What's the game plan to sort of have a better, more established position?
We know that we're going to be in, but there's a lot of teams that need to potentially push us. What and the flat top is no longer in. Veritas, who is one down now, is no longer in, and E United, who I also knew was in North George, wasn't in. So there was basically three teams that could push us. We needed to not get into a bad engagement early. Like if we start fighting Eternity too early here, What can push out from the flat top, Veritas can take that as their window to push us. So the goal here is to just get edge control in the new zone, pressure Eternity, but don't overcommit to the fight.
So still at this point, Veritas and What have yet to move. Was that expected?
In this format, they're playing for the win, so they're waiting for their opportunity to third party us, but we don't let that happen. So I don't think they really misplayed it. Once we kill one of What leaving the flat top, they were only 3 up. So they end up driving underneath Oath, and at that point, that was our sign that we need to start taking this Eternity fight. We've scared Veritas away. The only other threat has moved away from us. So this is when we make the call, hey, we're going to fight Eternity.
I think we need to kill these guys.
Okay, let's finish sweeping ETR.
I think it's important to have keep the big picture in mind, but at the end of the day, like step by step, you can't focus on what comes next if you don't focus on the fight ahead. So we were just focused on clearing out Eternity, and then whatever comes after that, we'll get info and we'll make a decision. We called a foot push them, and we end up opening up with 2 knocks on them, and I think one of us gets knocked. The last Eternity guy was hiding in the smoke, and I called that, and he ends up running out of the smoke at me pretty much the same time as the rest of my team pushes past him, so it could have been really bad. And as we're cleaning up this fight with Eternity, What drives back into us, but they cut their engines at the end, and we're in the middle of shooting our AR, so we don't really hear it. We think our north is clear. We know there's a chance that North George can push us, but for the most part, we don't think anyone behind us is going to flank. So I'm actually really surprised we survived here. We end up finishing Eternity, getting the res on Mime, exactly when What starts nading us from behind and E United starts shooting us on the side. So essentially it's 5 players shooting us at the same time, and we still manage to come out on top. We end up killing What. I get up under them and kill 2. I think Shrimzy got a lot of damage in as well. And then E United from there missed their window to flush any of us, so now we kind of just spread out and take them out as well. Whenever we're done with a fight, we usually call reset. It's like a keyword to make us focus back up. Usually it means look around, see if you're about to get third partied or pushed by another team. Once you know that's not happening, you can loot, start getting info, and start thinking about the next play. So right here, we know that S1 is 4 in the ice cream. We saw them like literally 4 cars rotate past us earlier and go there. We knew Cap was the flat top team, and they were kind of flexed out to their side of the hill. We saw TSM in that bowl. We didn't know how many they were alive, but we knew TSM was in the bowl, like towards the middle. So we had pretty good info in the zone of who was where. Now it's just a matter of piecing it together.
And then with this circle shift, what's the game plan from here on out? What's the win condition? Because we're hitting the late game now.
Yeah, so our position's still good, but only in the sense that we're still in. Like next zone, we're definitely going to be out. So right now we're looking for options of what is our next play. Can we make it happen earlier than later? If Cap got in a big fight and got knocked, we could see that and we could drive towards their side on the southwest. If Oath gets in a big fight, we could drive over there. If neither teams fight, we could fight S1. There's just a lot of options right now. So we're kind of just biding time, waiting to see what happens. So right now we're just pulling in cars in the zone, and we see this Oath rotate, and Oath gets in a big fight with Dodge, which we're able to see. Right here we saw Oath die to Dodge, and we knew TSM was in that bowl. We see Luke 12 get insta'd in the bowl, which was really important info. So on this next pop, I think if Luke hadn't died, we would have done our standard play, which is fight S1. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pull up north of S1, because no one could shoot us from the east, from the north, from our side. So we could basically pull up north of S1 and just nade them and molly them, and they can't really do much with Tig on the hill anchoring. But because we see Luke 12 die, Hwinnm suggests that it's a good position to wrap into. The bowl is still in, and Hwinnm said, hey, I think it's more of a game-winning play. So even though it's not what I wanted to do initially, I trusted his call. We made the call to smoke off S1 so they couldn't see our rotate as we drive past them, and we ended up driving to the bowl for free without taking much damage. S1 thought we were crashing them. They threw pre-nades, but they kind of got jebaited. Realistically, I think we could have killed S1 here, but had we done that, we would have been given the game to cap. So what we're doing here is our best chance of winning. We pull up in the bowl, and it's basically just survive. I got knocked from cap up top before I could prone, and I remember I was second bleed, so I was really close to bleeding out.
I'm second knock. Can you stick me?
I get CRO.
I can't stick you right now.
Stick me, just stick me. Try it. There's nothing to lose.
You
Just try
can,
it,
you can do it.
And then he stood up and stuck me. Thank God, because I would have been mad at him. He ends up rezzing me, which is good because I pop off later. And, I mean, everyone does. But once we knew Dodge was out of the picture, Shrimzy ended up mollying them. Hwinnm makes the call that, well, Hwinnm's dead, right? So him being vocal's good. Now, he knows that in this position, he would get pitted under cap, which means run across the road, get under them. So you have a system of cover fire. We're not really doing that at the moment, so Hwinnm's like, yo, you should get crossed. They're shooting at S1. So I trust his info, and I push across the road, tell my team to cover me. And now that I'm pitted under cap, whenever cap on this next circle has to make a move, I can either flank them, or I'm positioned under them to where if they start to bully my team, I can pop up and try to knock one or two. Playing 3 in the bowl would be not taking the game into your own hands. What we're doing here is taking the game into our own hands. The moment I hear cap shooting their DMRs at S1, I heard 2 of them shooting. I flank. We knew cap was 4 and S1 was 3 because S1 had just died. One of them had died. So I flank here and I say, Shrimzy, come with me. Tig, watch over us. And I knock one. Pretty much right before Shrimzy gets to me, and instead of going for the highlight clip where I could try to knock the second guy and the third guy, I just throw flashes and nades and buy time for Shrimzy, who takes a better angle, and then we end up peeking it into them at the same time and knocking the second and third guy, both winning our 1v1s. And at that point, I mean, it's basically GG. Within, I'd say 10 seconds, the entire server's dead. Tig pushes and kills S1. We 2v4 cap.
Tig spreading out that we see right before the circle closes. Was that a call that you had made, or that was just an individual solo play that he got to try and find a better angle now that he didn't need to sort of play for safety from S1's compound?
Yeah, Tig made that decision himself. Once he knows that he doesn't need to cover me or Shrimzy because we're popping off up top, he can do whatever he thinks needs to be done. We all have liberties on this team to make the best individual decisions that we can. It was a fun game, mainly because there was so many times where things could have gone wrong, but we just managed to survive, reset, and then make the next play.
Especially in this new format, is there a level of sort of catch-22 that you put out there, whereas in previous formats, a team can go for a fight, and they'll still sort of be able to collect a couple of points from there? Here, is there a level of like, listen, you could take us out, but you're going to be very wounded in the process. Do you really want to take that chance? Because that's going to ruin your chances of winning this game.
Yeah, realistically, if you just injure these teams a little bit and they know it's us, they'll stay away. As soon as they see the kill feed, they usually just look for another fight, because at the end of the day, they're not going to win the game fighting us, and they're not going to get a lot of kill points fighting us, so they might as well go look for another fight.
As far as the teams that have already qualified, both from North America and Latin America, is there a particular team that you're a little more worried about overall, that you think is going to be your biggest threat?
I'm not really worried about any teams. I'd like to see how some teams perform in finals. It's nice to see some of these teams like United and Adapt XD qualify. I'm excited to play against new talent, especially from Latin America. I think Fiamba's a pretty strong team. Trog, a couple others.
So you guys take group stage in an enormous fashion. You get 8 wins out of 20 games that you guys had played.
It definitely gives us extra confidence. I mean, we're training for the World Championship, so dominating our region step one. We're used to winning, as silly as it sounds, like 25% of our games, I'd say, like closer to 1-4 in America in general. But having a 40% win rate this group's just shows you that, you know, we weren't slacking, we weren't goofing off and throwing games for extra kills. We're not playing for ourselves, we're playing for the team, and it shows.
All right, Hwinn, thank you very much for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to give?
Yeah, we appreciate everyone that supports us in chat and in our streams. Keep watching, and hopefully we put on a show for finals.
All right, again, thank you for joining us, and good luck at PCS5 Grand Finals.